furious after seeing what veterans give President Trump on live TV. For 8 years Obama made it very clear that he cared very little about our military and the veterans who served. He gutted our military and left it as weak as it was prior to World War II. He also made it virtually impossible for our soldiers to protect themselves on the battlefield with the outrageous changes he made to our military's rules of engagement, ROE, resulting in the deaths of dozens of our warriors. Obama also made it very clear that he could care less for our soldiers by refusing to do simple things like return salutes to Marines assigned to his detail. Obama also went back on one of his many campaign promises to fix the VA, where numerous veterans would eventually die for not receiving medical treatment for their war injuries. Thankfully, we now have a president who cares about our veterans and shows them the respect they deserve. President Trump proved that last month when he had the opportunity to honor our veterans over Veterans Day. Despite his busy tour in Asia, he dropped everything to honor our Vietnam veterans with an incredible ceremony and a heartfelt speech. Trump spoke at the event and was flanked by 7 veterans. But it's what one of those veterans did that made headlines. Prissy Holly from Freedom Daily reported. So not surprisingly, when President Trump had the opportunity to honor our veterans over Veterans Day, despite his busy 11-day Asia tour, he would drop everything to honor our Vietnam veterans with an incredible ceremony and a heartfelt speech. Trump took the stage to honor all of America's veterans, where he was flanked by 7 elderly Vietnam veterans. But one of the veterans did something completely unexpected after Trump's remarks, that will probably have Hussein Obama completely furious. Standing with Vietnam veterans behind him, Trump said, "Our veterans are a national treasure, and I thank them all for their service, sacrifice, and patriotism. To each of you with me today, you are the heroes who fulfill your duty to our nation. And each of you, under the most difficult conditions, did what you had to do, and you did it well." Unlike Obama, who was completely obsessed with himself, President Trump turned the microphone over to the 7 Vietnam heroes behind him and gave them the opportunity to say whatever was on their minds. The third veteran to speak was wearing a Navy SEAL veteran hat and could only get a few words out before choking up and turning to President Trump saying, "Mr. President, from my heart, thank you for your support of the military, and it's an honor to be here as one of 7 Vietnam veterans representing the 58,000 heroes that never made it home. Thank you so much," the veteran said. President Trump was so incredibly moved by the veterans, unlike our previous president who couldn't care less about anyone but himself. The veteran then hugged Trump and began to cry. The touching moment begins around 3:55 mark. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen any World War II or Vietnam veteran ever hug Obama for anything he did for them. Obama had no issue stabbing our elderly veterans in the back, as we all remember the heartbreaking images of wheelchair-bound elderly veterans being turned away from visiting their World War II memorial after Obama decided to shut it down back in 2013 as part of his political ploy to make Republicans pay. Even the park police thought it was incredibly horrible what Obama did, and refused to follow Obama's orders and not let the veterans into the memorial. Here's a recap of the disgusting way Obama treated our World War II veterans, via Stars and Stripes. Wheelchair-bound elderly veterans pushed aside barricades to tour the World War II memorial Tuesday morning, in defiance of the government shutdown which closed all of the memorials in the nation's capital. The 4 busloads of veterans, visiting from Mississippi as part of a once-in-a-lifetime honor flight tour, ignored National Park Police instructions not to enter the site as lawmakers and tourists cheered them on. "We didn't come this far not to get in," one veteran proclaimed. The scene was both emotional and comical at once. After it was clear they had lost control of the situation, park police officials stood aside, telling press that they had asked for guidance on how to respond to the breach of security. As 80-something veterans slowly walked around the massive war memorial, park police stood quietly to the side, advising other tourists that the site was technically still closed. But they made no moves to stop the wishes of the war heroes. The memorial was closed because of the government shutdown that started 11 hours earlier after lawmakers failed to pass a temporary budget plan to keep non-essential federal programs operating. Republicans and Democrats have been stalled in budget fight for weeks, mostly over legislative add-ons dealing with the new healthcare law. It has been quite a while since we had a leader who actually cares about our veterans. Obama spent years furthering his own agenda and had little regard for the folks that ensure the safety of our country. President Trump is a much different leader, and our veterans and servicemen are finally proud to be serving our country. You know, Obama's got to be pretty mad right now after seeing how much our veterans love President Trump.